Hello, I'm Anne-Marie McFeely and I'm a primary school teacher in Coventry. I'm going to read chapter 30, The Mighty God. Often the kings of Israel forgot God and his covenant, but God kept the covenant. He sent the kings and the people, men who spoke in his name, the prophets. King Ahab was one of those who worshipped the god Baal. Elijah was a prophet of God. He went to King Ahab and said, "I serve the God of Israel. He is the mighty God. You will see his might, and the whole land along with you. For from today no more dew will fall from the heavens, and no rain either. The drought will last as long as I command it to." Elijah feared the anger of the king. He fled across the border to Phoenicia. There he lived in the house of a poor woman. She was a widow and had an only son. Her son fell ill and died. Then the woman complained to Elijah, "You are a man of God. You live in my house. So God looks at me. He sees my sins and punishes me." Elijah lifted up the dead child and laid him on his own bed. Then he bent over the young boy and prayed, "Lord, my God, give this child back his life." God heard the prayer of his prophet. The child came back to life. Elijah took the boy by the hand and brought him to his mother. So if we reflect and think about the characters that we've met in today's story, we can look at the prophet Elijah, the man chosen by God to spread the word of God. I think about how Elijah must have felt when he was asked to go to the king and deliver the message and to bring the drought upon the kingdom. We know from the second passage that he was fearful, just like you and I are sometimes fearful. And we turn to God. And Elijah was able to do what God had asked him to do, because Elijah believed that God was with him. Elijah trusted that God would enable him to do the things that he had commanded. So even though he might have been slightly afraid, Elijah went to the king and delivered the message that God had asked him to deliver. Elijah was trying to show the king the error of his ways and to tell the king that there was and is only one God. And then in his fearful state, Elijah left the kingdom of King Ahab. And he came across and was welcomed into the house of the widow. A widow is someone whose husband has died, and therefore she's lost her form of income. She has no man in her house to work and bring in money. And therefore she's reliant upon her son to grow up to be the man of the household, to be the man who will earn the money, to enable them to buy food and firewood and drinks. The woman welcomed Elijah into her house, and I think how kind she must have been to do that, even though she was poor, even though she was on her own with her child. She welcomed the prophet into her home. She shared what little she had with him. And that makes me think about how welcoming we are as a people? How welcoming am I? We need to think about the woman and the way she shared the food that she had, the drink that she had, the safety and the warmth of the home that she offered to Elijah. How often do you or I welcome the stranger to our classroom, the stranger to our parish, the stranger to our home? And then we hear that the woman who had her son, he died. And we can imagine how that might have made her feel. And I think then she was cross with Elijah. She recognised Elijah was a man of God, and she was cross with him for allowing her son to die. And Elijah clearly sensed that fear, that anger in the woman. So he took the child and he prayed to God. And he asked for the boy's life to be restored. And God heard the prayer of his prophet Elijah. And he chose to answer the prayer Elijah had made. And the boy was restored to life. So that makes me think again about the prayers that I make to God. How often do I pray to God asking him for things I don't really need? How often do I pray to God and then don't listen to his answer? I think this story teaches us the need to listen to God. Elijah listened to God. Elijah did what God had asked him to do. He both spoke to King Ahab and he helped the woman. By listening to God, we can hear what God has planned for us. Therefore, take time to pray, to share your thoughts and your needs with God. But take time to listen as well. Because if we don't listen, we may find God won't hear us.